Have you ever felt stuck in your daily routine, struggling to regain control over your life and achieve your goals? What if the key to unlocking your full potential lies not in striving harder or trying to force success, but in the simple yet powerful way you start each day? Imagine waking up with a clear mind, focused energy, and a deep sense of purpose, ready to tackle whatever life throws your way. In the ancient wisdom of Buddhism, we are reminded that true fulfillment and success do not come from obsessing over past failures or worrying about the uncertainties of the future. Instead, they come from living in the present moment, cultivating mindfulness, and consciously shaping our habits to support our well-being. In this video, we explore morning habits inspired by Buddhist teachings that can help you program your mind for success. These practices, rooted in mindfulness, gratitude, meditation, and self-compassion, can transform your daily routine, enhance your mental clarity, and empower you to live a more fulfilled, purpose-driven life. But what makes these practices so special? And how can we apply them in our fast-paced modern world? Let's dive in and discover how the mindful, intentional habits you cultivate each morning can set the tone for the rest of your day, and ultimately, for your life. Section 1: The Power of the Present Moment. In Buddhism, one of the most profound teachings is the importance of living in the present moment. This concept might sound simple, but it holds the key to unlocking a deeper sense of fulfillment and success. Our modern lives are filled with distractions, worries about the future, and regrets about the past. We often find ourselves stuck in a loop, constantly juggling responsibilities or mentally revisiting mistakes. But the Buddha's teachings suggest a way to break free from this cycle. By focusing on the present, we can unlock a powerful sense of clarity, peace, and purpose. The Buddha's teaching on living in the present. The Buddha taught that true happiness and peace are found not in dwelling on the past or fearing the future, but in fully experiencing the present. Imagine for a moment that you are going about your day, but your mind is constantly running back to something you said last week or something you still need to do tomorrow. This creates a sense of disconnection from the present, making us anxious and stressed. In contrast, when we are mindful, we break this cycle. We bring our attention to the here and now, accepting the present as it is without judgment or resistance. The Buddha's wisdom encourages us to let go of attachments to the past or future, to stop mourning what has already passed, and to stop worrying about what may come. Instead, we focus on the present, appreciating the reality of this moment. For example, when you wake up in the morning, rather than immediately reaching for your phone to check emails or social media, you can instead take a moment to pause and breathe. Notice the sensations in your body, the air around you, and the rhythm of your breath. These small practices remind us that we are alive in the present, and the present is enough. The science behind living in the present moment. Living in the present moment isn't just a spiritual practice, it has real benefits for our mental and physical health. Modern research supports the idea that mindfulness, paying attention to the present moment without judgment, can significantly improve our well-being. Studies have shown that mindfulness helps reduce stress, increase emotional regulation, and even improve cognitive function. When we are mindful, we activate areas of the brain that are linked to positive emotions such as happiness, calm, and empathy. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for higher-order thinking and emotional regulation, becomes more active, while the amygdala, which processes fear and anxiety, becomes less reactive. This shift in brain activity helps us handle challenges with greater ease, fostering a sense of inner peace even in difficult situations. Practical steps to start your day mindfully. You may wonder, how can I bring mindfulness into my own mornings? The good news is that it doesn't take much time or effort to start integrating mindfulness into your daily routine. In fact, it can be done in small, simple steps that gradually build over time. Here's how you can start. 1. Set a mindful intention for the day. Before you even get out of bed, take a moment to set an intention for the day. This could be something as simple as, today, I will remain calm and focused, or, today, I will be kind to myself and others. Setting an intention helps guide your actions and mindset throughout the day. 2. Mindful breathing. After you wake up, instead of diving immediately into the hustle of the day, focus on your breath. Take a few deep, conscious breaths. As you inhale, notice how the air feels as it enters your nostrils and fills your lungs. As you exhale, release any tension or distractions. This simple practice centers your mind and body in the present moment, setting a calm tone for the rest of the day. 3. Mindful awareness of your body. As you move from your bed to start your day, pay attention to the sensations in your body. How does the mattress feel under your body? How do your feet feel on the floor when you stand up? This simple act of noticing brings you into the present moment, helping to build awareness of your physical state and how you're feeling. 4. Mindful movement. Incorporating mindfulness into your morning movements, such as stretching or walking, can also set the tone for the day. As you go through your morning routine, whether it's brushing your teeth, taking a shower, or getting dressed, try to engage all of your senses. Feel the texture of the water on your skin, notice the scent of your soap, or savor the taste of your breakfast. These little moments of awareness help you cultivate a mindful presence that carries you through the day. A personal example, the power of present moment awareness. Let me share a personal story to highlight how the practice of being present in the moment can change your entire perspective on life. I used to wake up every morning already thinking about my to-do list. I would jump straight out of bed, rush through my routine, and often felt overwhelmed by the time I left the house. My mind was always ahead of me, thinking about what I needed to do next or worrying about what I hadn't yet accomplished. Then, one day, I decided to try a different approach. I woke up earlier and took 5 minutes to simply be still. I focused on my breath, felt the warmth of the bed, and set an intention for the day. I allowed myself to embrace the present moment, letting go of all expectations and worries. To my surprise, that small shift had a profound effect. My morning felt calmer and more purposeful, and as I moved through the day, I noticed that I felt more present and focused. Even when challenges arose, I was able to approach them with a clear mind rather than feeling frazzled. This shift didn't happen overnight, and it required some consistent effort. But over time, I began to see how the power of being present, rather than worrying about the past or future, truly transformed the way I approached my work, my relationships, and my personal well-being. Living mindfully in a busy world. We live in a fast-paced world where the pressure to be productive often overshadows our need for mental peace and presence. However, by committing to mindfulness, we can start to shift the balance. Even in the midst of a hectic morning, you can make a choice to be present in the moment, which in turn cultivates a greater sense of calm and focus. The secret isn't in rushing through your day or overloading yourself with tasks, but in learning to slow down and fully experience each moment. When we embrace the present, we align ourselves with the flow of life. We are no longer trapped by the cycle of worry and regret but are open to the richness of each experience. This doesn't mean we abandon our goals or responsibilities, it means we approach them with clarity and peace, trusting that each moment is enough. Conclusion of Section 1. By beginning your day with mindfulness, you set the foundation for a life of peace, focus, and fulfillment. The Buddha's wisdom teaches us that the key to true success is not in achieving endless goals or chasing external rewards, but in fully experiencing the present moment. When we stop focusing on what we lack or what we fear losing, we begin to cultivate gratitude, clarity, and inner peace. Incorporating mindfulness into your mornings doesn't have to be complicated. By practicing present moment awareness, whether through mindful breathing, movement, or simply being still, you create a space for calm and focus. Over time, this practice helps you navigate the challenges of life with greater resilience, empathy, and joy. Section 2. Cultivating self-compassion and letting go of perfectionism. One of the most powerful lessons in Buddhism is the practice of self-compassion. In a world that often values productivity, achievement, and outward success, it's easy to forget the importance of treating ourselves with kindness, especially when we fall short of our expectations. Buddhism teaches us that in order to be at peace with the world, we must first learn to be at peace with ourselves. This involves acknowledging our imperfections, embracing our mistakes, and forgiving ourselves for the times when we feel we haven't lived up to our potential. The Buddha's teaching on self-compassion. The Buddha's teachings are rooted in the idea that all beings are worthy of love and compassion, including ourselves. Often, we are our own harshest critics, holding ourselves to impossible standards and berating ourselves when we don't measure up. We may feel guilt for things we've done or anxiety about things we haven't accomplished. These self-imposed pressures can lead to burnout, stress, and a sense of disconnection from our true selves. But Buddhism reminds us that true happiness comes from accepting ourselves as we are, flaws, mistakes, and all. Self-compassion doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior or avoiding growth. It means recognizing our humanity and treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer to a close friend. The importance of letting go of perfectionism. In our society, perfectionism is often seen as a virtue. We are encouraged to always strive for more success, more recognition, more achievements. However, this mindset can be draining and ultimately counterproductive. When we set perfection as the goal, we set ourselves up for disappointment and frustration because perfection is an impossible standard. The Buddha's path to freedom is one of balance, not extreme perfection. In his teachings, he spoke of the middle way, the path that avoids the extremes of self-indulgence and self-mortification. This middle path invites us to live a life of moderation, where we can accept our imperfections while striving to grow and improve. In doing so, we release ourselves from the burden of unrealistic expectations and allow space for genuine growth and contentment. Practical ways to cultivate self-compassion. So, how can we cultivate self-compassion in our daily lives? There are several practical steps that can help us integrate this valuable practice. 1. Embrace imperfection. Instead of striving for perfection, allow yourself to be imperfect. Embrace the idea that making mistakes is part of the human experience. When you make a mistake, instead of criticizing yourself, treat yourself with kindness. Acknowledge the error, learn from it, and move on with a sense of understanding and forgiveness. 2. Use kind self-talk. The way we speak to ourselves matters. Often, we use harsh, critical language when we make a mistake, but shifting our inner dialogue to a kinder tone can make a significant difference. When you make a mistake, try saying something like, "It's okay. I'm human, and I can learn from this," instead of berating yourself. This shift in self-talk promotes self-compassion and reduces feelings of shame. 3. Practice loving-kindness meditation. Loving-kindness meditation is a powerful Buddhist practice that helps us cultivate compassion for ourselves and others. Start by sitting quietly and repeating phrases such as, "May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be peaceful." As you repeat these phrases, feel the warmth of compassion flow through you. Over time, this practice helps to soften the heart and strengthen the bond with yourself. 4. Set realistic expectations. Perfectionism thrives on the belief that we must always do more and be more. However, by setting realistic goals and expectations for ourselves, we can avoid the stress and pressure that perfectionism brings. Break larger tasks into smaller, manageable steps and celebrate each small success along the way. 5. Take care of your physical well-being. Self-compassion is not just an emotional or mental practice, it extends to how we care for our physical bodies. Take time to rest, eat nourishing food, and engage in activities that bring you joy and relaxation. Self-compassion involves honoring your body and its needs, not pushing it to the limits of exhaustion. A personal example, shifting from perfectionism to self-compassion. I vividly remember a time when I was consumed by perfectionism. As I worked on a project that I felt was important, I was constantly critical of every detail. If something wasn't exactly as I envisioned, I would obsess over it, feeling disappointed in myself. This mindset created a lot of stress, and no matter how much I achieved, I always felt it was never enough. One day, I decided to try something different. I allowed myself to make mistakes. I stopped obsessing over every minor flaw and, instead, focused on the bigger picture. I forgave myself for any imperfections and reminded myself that I was doing my best. It wasn't easy at first, but over time, I began to experience more peace and satisfaction with my work. I realized that perfection didn't equate to happiness, and in fact, it often robbed me of the joy of simply doing my best. How self-compassion fuels success and fulfillment. You might be wondering, how does self-compassion lead to success? It may seem counterintuitive. After all, if you aren't striving for perfection, how can you achieve your goals? The answer lies in the fact that when we practice self-compassion, we are more resilient in the face of challenges. Instead of getting discouraged by setbacks, we approach them with patience and understanding, knowing that mistakes are part of the process. Furthermore, self-compassion helps us develop a healthy relationship with ourselves. When we are kind to ourselves, we are more likely to take risks, try new things, and step out of our comfort zones. This leads to personal growth, creativity, and innovation, qualities that are essential for achieving long-term success and fulfillment. Conclusion of Section 2. Self-compassion is not about accepting mediocrity or avoiding growth, it's about embracing our imperfections and treating ourselves with kindness as we navigate the journey of life. When we let go of perfectionism, we free ourselves from unnecessary stress and create space for genuine happiness and fulfillment. By integrating self-compassion into our daily lives, through mindful self-talk, loving-kindness meditation, and realistic expectations, we not only nurture our own well-being but also cultivate a deeper sense of connection with others. The Buddha's teachings remind us that we are all deserving of love and compassion, including ourselves. Section 3, Embracing Impermanence and Finding Peace in Change. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is the concept of impermanence, anicca. Everything in life is subject to change, whether it's the seasons, our relationships, or our emotions. The Buddha taught that understanding and accepting the impermanent nature of life is a key to finding peace and freedom from suffering. In this section, we'll explore how embracing change can help us live more fully and reduce our attachment to the fleeting aspects of life. The Buddhist perspective on impermanence. Impermanence is not just about recognizing that physical things decay over time, it's also about understanding that our thoughts, feelings, and experiences are ever-changing. The Buddha described the world as being in a constant state of flux, and this concept is captured in the famous Buddhist saying, "This too shall pass." When we cling to things, whether it's material possessions, specific outcomes, or even people, we set ourselves up for suffering. Attachment arises when we want things to stay the same forever, yet change is the only constant in life. By accepting impermanence, we learn to loosen our grip on the world and its temporary nature, allowing ourselves to move with the flow of life instead of resisting it. The suffering that comes from attachment. The Buddha's teachings remind us that attachment is a primary source of suffering. When we become overly attached to anything, whether it's a dream, a person, or even an idea, we set ourselves up for disappointment. This is because nothing in life is permanent, and everything we cling to is bound to change or disappear. For example, consider how we feel when something we love is taken away, whether it's the loss of a job, the end of a relationship, or the passing of a loved one. The pain that arises is often due to our attachment to the idea that this thing should have lasted forever. We may grieve not just for what was lost, but for the very fact that change happened. However, if we approach life with an understanding of impermanence, we can reduce our attachment and the suffering that comes with it. Instead of trying to control or hold on to what is fleeting, we can appreciate the present moment and the temporary nature of everything in it. Finding peace through acceptance of change. The key to finding peace in the face of change lies in acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean passively allowing things to happen to us, rather, it means understanding that change is an inherent part of life and embracing it with an open heart. By accepting that everything is impermanent, we can live with less fear and anxiety about the future. Imagine a time in your life when you experienced something significant, perhaps a major transition, such as moving to a new city, starting a new job, or the end of a relationship. At the time, it may have felt overwhelming, like everything was falling apart. But with time, you likely adapted and found peace in the new circumstances. This process is a reflection of the Buddha's teaching on impermanence. Although things may be difficult in the moment, they will change, and we can find peace by flowing with that change instead of resisting it. Practical ways to embrace impermanence. Here are some practical ways we can start embracing impermanence in our daily lives. 1. Practice mindfulness of change. One way to connect with impermanence is through mindfulness meditation. Take a moment each day to observe the changes happening within you and around you. Notice how your thoughts shift from moment to moment, or how the weather changes throughout the day. By practicing mindfulness, we train ourselves to become more aware of the transient nature of everything and to respond with acceptance rather than resistance. 2. Let go of attachment to outcomes. Often, we get caught up in how things should be, how we want things to turn out. However, attachment to specific outcomes can cause frustration when things don't go as planned. Instead of fixating on how things must unfold, focus on giving your best effort and letting go of the need to control the result. By doing so, you free yourself from unnecessary stress and disappointment. 3. Cultivate gratitude for the present moment. When we understand that nothing lasts forever, we become more appreciative of the present moment. Take time each day to practice gratitude for what you have right now, whether it's your health, your relationships, or the simple joys of life. This practice helps us appreciate the fleeting nature of life, making each moment more meaningful. 4. Release the past. Often, we hold on to past memories or regrets, wishing we could go back to a simpler time. However, the past is gone, and it can only cause suffering if we remain attached to it. Instead of living in the past, allow yourself to release old stories and grudges. This doesn't mean forgetting, but rather freeing yourself from the burden of attachment to what no longer serves you. 5. Welcome change as growth. Change is often seen as something unsettling or uncomfortable, but it can also be an opportunity for growth. Instead of fearing change, try to view it as a chance to learn, evolve, and become more resilient. Embracing change allows us to grow and adapt to life's challenges with greater ease and wisdom. A personal example: embracing change during uncertainty. There was a time when I faced a significant life change, moving away from my hometown to start a new chapter. The transition was filled with uncertainty. I left behind the familiar faces, places, and routines I had known for years. At first, it felt like I was losing everything, and I couldn't help but feel anxious about the future. However, over time, I realized that my attachment to the past was what was causing my anxiety. As I embraced the uncertainty of the future, I found new opportunities for growth. I learned new things, met new people, and discovered strengths in myself I didn't know existed. The experience taught me that change isn't something to fear, it's a part of life that brings new possibilities and insights. How acceptance of impermanence leads to peace. Acceptance of impermanence brings a profound sense of peace because it releases us from the pressure of trying to control every aspect of our lives. When we let go of the illusion that things must remain static, we can find peace in the flow of life itself. We learn to be present with what is, rather than constantly worrying about what was or what could be. The Buddha's teaching on impermanence encourages us to live fully, knowing that our time in this world is limited and that every moment is precious. By embracing change and accepting the impermanent nature of all things, we free ourselves from the fear of loss and cultivate a deeper sense of contentment and peace. Section 4. Cultivating compassion and loving kindness in a world of suffering. Another cornerstone of Buddhist practice is the cultivation of compassion, karuna, and loving kindness, metta. These two qualities are not only essential for personal growth but also for creating a more harmonious world. In a world often filled with pain, confusion, and suffering, practicing compassion and loving kindness can help us heal ourselves and others. In this section, we will explore the profound role these qualities play in our lives and how we can incorporate them into our daily interactions. The Buddha's teachings on compassion and loving kindness. The Buddha recognized that suffering is an inherent part of human existence. We all experience moments of pain, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental. Compassion is the response to this suffering. it is the deep awareness of the suffering of others combined with a genuine wish to alleviate that pain. Similarly, loving-kindness is the practice of wishing others well, extending love and goodwill without expectation or attachment. The Buddha taught that true compassion isn't limited to those we love or those who are like us. It should extend to all beings, without discrimination. Compassion means not only offering help in times of distress but also being present with others in their suffering, offering empathy and understanding rather than judgment or pity. Loving-kindness, on the other hand, invites us to cultivate a heart full of goodwill toward all living beings, even those who may have wronged us. It is a powerful antidote to anger, resentment, and hatred. The Buddha often spoke of the importance of radiating loving-kindness in every direction, sending out waves of peace and love to all beings, whether they are near or far, known or unknown. The power of compassion in overcoming suffering. When we feel compassion, we connect with the suffering of others in a deep and meaningful way. This connection creates a sense of unity and shared humanity. By acknowledging the suffering of others, we can open our hearts and minds to the possibility of helping them find relief. In doing so, we also relieve our own suffering, as compassion fosters a sense of purpose and fulfillment. One of the most beautiful aspects of compassion is its reciprocal nature. While it certainly helps others, it also nurtures our own growth and well-being. By caring for others, we create a sense of interdependence, which reminds us that we are not isolated but part of a larger web of life. For example, when someone is grieving or struggling, offering a compassionate ear or a helping hand can bring them comfort. Not only does this action relieve their pain, but it also brings us closer to them and helps us feel more connected to the world around us. The practice of loving-kindness meditation. A powerful way to cultivate compassion and loving-kindness is through loving-kindness meditation, metta bhavana. This meditation practice involves silently repeating phrases that express goodwill and love toward oneself and others. It's a beautiful way to break down the walls of anger, resentment, and fear, replacing them with a sense of warmth and connection. A common format for metta bhavana involves 4 stages. 1. Loving-kindness for oneself. Begin by directing loving-kindness toward yourself. Recite phrases such as, "May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I live with ease." This is an important step because we cannot truly love others if we do not first learn to love and accept ourselves. 2. Loving-kindness for a loved one. Think of someone you deeply care about, and offer them your loving-kindness. Visualize them happy, healthy, and at peace, and recite similar phrases, "May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you live with ease." 3. Loving-kindness for a neutral person. This person might be someone you don't know well or have neutral feelings toward, such as a colleague or acquaintance. The goal is to extend love even to those with whom you have no strong emotional connection. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you live with ease. 4. Loving-kindness for an enemy. The final stage involves directing loving-kindness to someone with whom you have negative feelings, perhaps someone you've had conflict with. This can be the most challenging part, but it is also the most transformative. Through the act of sending loving-kindness to someone who may have hurt you, you release yourself from the grip of resentment and anger. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you live with ease. By regularly practicing loving-kindness meditation, we cultivate a heart full of compassion for ourselves and others. Over time, this practice shifts our mindset, reducing feelings of anger, jealousy, and resentment, and replacing them with feelings of warmth, love, and understanding. Compassion in action. How to practice it daily. While meditation is a powerful tool, compassion and loving-kindness must also be practiced in our daily interactions. Here are some practical ways to bring these qualities into your everyday life. 1. Listening with an open heart. One of the simplest ways to show compassion is by truly listening to others. Often, people just need someone to listen to their struggles and acknowledge their pain. Instead of offering immediate solutions, try to simply be present and listen without judgment. This act of listening is a form of compassion in itself. 2. Helping others without expectation. True compassion involves helping others without any expectation of receiving something in return. This could be as simple as offering a kind word, helping someone carry their groceries, or volunteering your time. The act of giving without expecting anything in return cultivates a sense of connectedness and reinforces the importance of selfless love. 3. Forgiveness. One of the most powerful expressions of compassion is forgiveness. When we forgive others, we release ourselves from the burden of anger and resentment. This doesn't mean we condone harmful actions, but rather that we choose to let go of the negative emotions that keep us tied to past hurts. By forgiving, we open our hearts and create space for healing. 4. Extending loving kindness in challenging situations. In moments of conflict or tension, try to remember to extend loving kindness to everyone involved, including yourself. This might mean remaining calm and kind when someone is rude or frustrated, or it might involve taking a moment to center yourself and respond with compassion when faced with a difficult situation. 5. Being present for others in times of suffering. Compassion isn't always about fixing problems, it's about being present for others when they are in pain. Sometimes, the most helpful thing you can do is simply sit with someone in their suffering, offering your silent support. By doing so, you show them they are not alone in their struggles. A personal example: the healing power of compassion. A time when I personally experienced the power of compassion was when a close friend of mine went through a difficult breakup. She was devastated, and though I couldn't take away her pain, I made it a priority to listen to her, offer comforting words, and spend time with her. Although I couldn't change her situation, my compassion helped her feel supported and less isolated in her pain. Over time, I saw her slowly heal and grow stronger, not because of anything I did to fix the problem, but because I had been there with her, extending my love and care through one of the hardest moments of her life. How compassion transforms us and the world around us. Compassion and loving kindness are transformative forces. They not only improve our relationships with others but also enhance our own well-being. When we practice compassion, we experience less stress, anxiety, and depression because we are focused on love and understanding rather than fear and judgment. Moreover, compassion has the power to create a ripple effect in the world. When we show kindness to others, it encourages them to do the same, creating a chain of goodwill that spreads far beyond our immediate circle. In this way, cultivating compassion becomes a way to heal the world, one small act of kindness at a time. Section 5. The Path of Wisdom, Understanding the Nature of Reality. In Buddhism, wisdom, prajna, is considered one of the most important virtues. It is the ability to see things as they truly are, free from the distortions of our desires, fears, and prejudices. Wisdom in Buddhism is not just intellectual knowledge, but deep, experiential insight into the nature of reality, including the truths of impermanence, anicca, suffering, dukkha, and non-self, anatta. Cultivating wisdom leads to a profound understanding of the world and ourselves, allowing us to transcend suffering and find peace. The 3 marks of existence, the foundation of wisdom. To understand Buddhist wisdom, we must first explore the 3 marks of existence, which describe the fundamental nature of all things. 1. Impermanence, anicca. Everything in life is constantly changing. This includes our emotions, relationships, bodies, and even the world around us. Nothing remains the same for long, and this constant flux is a core aspect of existence. Recognizing this helps us detach from the expectation of permanence and accept the natural cycles of life, making it easier to let go of attachments and fears. 2. Suffering, dukkha. The Buddha taught that suffering is an inevitable part of life. This doesn't just refer to obvious pain and hardship but also the subtle dissatisfaction that arises when things don't go as we want, or when we feel disconnected from the world around us. Understanding suffering isn't about being pessimistic, but about recognizing that clinging to temporary pleasures and avoiding pain only perpetuates our suffering. 3. Non-self, anatta. The concept of non-self challenges our deeply held belief that there is a permanent, unchanging I, or soul. According to Buddhism, the self is not a fixed entity but a collection of constantly changing physical and mental components. When we grasp this truth, we free ourselves from the illusions of ego and identity, which are often sources of suffering. These three marks of existence offer a clear lens through which we can examine the world and our place in it. Wisdom arises when we see things through this lens, realizing that clinging to anything in this impermanent, suffering-laden, and ever-changing world will only lead to further dissatisfaction. By understanding the true nature of reality, we can cultivate peace and freedom from suffering. The role of mindfulness in cultivating wisdom. A key practice for developing wisdom in Buddhism is mindfulness, sati, which is the ability to be fully present in the moment without judgment. Mindfulness allows us to observe our thoughts, emotions, and actions as they arise, giving us a clearer view of our mental and emotional patterns. This awareness helps us see how our attachments, desires, and aversions create suffering in our lives. Through mindfulness, we begin to understand the impermanent nature of all things. We see that thoughts and feelings arise, exist for a while, and then pass away. This realization helps us loosen our grip on them, reducing their power to cause suffering. Mindfulness also allows us to observe how our minds fabricate a sense of self and how we cling to that identity. When we practice mindfulness, we see that the self we identify with is not a permanent, fixed entity, but rather a collection of fleeting experiences. This insight into non-self is essential for cultivating wisdom and breaking free from the cycle of attachment and suffering. The wisdom of emptiness, understanding the interconnectedness of all things. Another profound aspect of Buddhist wisdom is the concept of emptiness, shunyata, which refers to the absence of inherent existence in all phenomena. According to this teaching, nothing exists independently or in isolation, everything is interconnected and arises due to causes and conditions. This is closely related to the idea of dependent origination, pratitya samutpada, which states that all things come into being due to interdependent causes and conditions. Emptiness does not mean that things do not exist, but rather that they do not exist in the way we often perceive them. Things do not have an intrinsic, unchanging essence. Our attachment to the idea of independent, permanent objects or selves creates suffering because it leads us to cling to things that are in constant flux. By recognizing the emptiness of all things, we realize that we are not separate from the world around us. We are deeply interconnected with all beings, and our actions have an impact on the entire web of life. This understanding fosters a sense of humility, compassion, and responsibility for how we interact with the world. The importance of right view and right understanding. In the Buddha's Noble Eightfold Path, right view and right understanding are the foundation of wisdom. Right view is the ability to see the world as it truly is, free from illusions and attachments. It involves understanding the Four Noble Truths, the truth of suffering, the cause of suffering, the end of suffering, and the path leading to the end of suffering. Right understanding is the deep recognition that suffering can be overcome by cultivating wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. These two aspects of the path guide us toward enlightenment, allowing us to see the world clearly and live with wisdom. Right view helps us detach from the illusions that cause suffering, while right understanding enables us to cultivate a life based on the deeper truths of existence. Wisdom in action, applying insight to daily life. While wisdom is often associated with intellectual understanding, it is in practice that wisdom truly manifests. In Buddhism, wisdom is not just a mental exercise but a way of living. It involves applying our understanding of the three marks of existence, mindfulness, and emptiness to our daily actions and interactions. Here are some practical ways to apply wisdom in your life. 1. Letting go of attachments. Recognize that everything in life is impermanent. When we cling to people, possessions, or outcomes, we create suffering. Wisdom teaches us to enjoy life's blessings without attachment, knowing that they are transient. By letting go of attachment, we can experience peace and freedom. 2. Dealing with difficult emotions. Wisdom helps us navigate difficult emotions like anger, fear, and jealousy. By practicing mindfulness, we can observe these emotions without identifying with them. We can recognize that they are temporary and do not define who we are. This awareness helps us respond to emotions with patience and understanding. 3. Being present with life. Wisdom involves being fully present in each moment. Instead of dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, we can engage with life as it is, with clarity and openness. This presence allows us to experience life more deeply and fully, fostering peace and contentment. 4. Cultivating compassion in every interaction. Wisdom and compassion are inseparable. As we develop wisdom, we naturally become more compassionate toward others. Understanding the interconnectedness of all beings, we recognize that everyone is experiencing their own struggles and suffering. This understanding leads to greater empathy, patience, and kindness. A personal example, the transformative power of wisdom. I recall a time when I struggled with feelings of frustration and disappointment after facing a setback in my career. I had attached too strongly to the idea of success in a particular role, and when things didn't turn out as I expected, I felt a sense of loss. However, by practicing mindfulness and reflecting on the teachings of impermanence and non-self, I realized that my attachment to a specific outcome was the root of my suffering. Through this wisdom, I was able to let go of my expectations and embrace the fluid nature of life, finding peace and openness to new possibilities. Conclusion: applying wisdom in life for peace and freedom. Wisdom in Buddhism is not just theoretical knowledge about the nature of the world, but the ability to apply that understanding in daily life to transcend suffering and find freedom. By understanding the impermanence, suffering, and non-self of all things, we can let go of attachments and find peace in every moment of our lives. Wisdom helps us view life with clarity, allowing us to overcome psychological barriers, negative emotions, and insatiable desires. When we practice mindfulness and right understanding, we not only gain control over our emotions but also cultivate harmonious and compassionate relationships with those around us. Understanding the nature of all phenomena enables us to see through illusions and frees us from mental distractions, helping us to live a life of greater fulfillment. By integrating wisdom into our lives, we begin to appreciate the present, experience more inner peace, and develop resilience to life's challenges. Ultimately, through the application of Buddhist wisdom, we can transform our lives and contribute to a more compassionate, peaceful world.